Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate, unofficial tier list for Fire Emblem Warriors. Now, usually whenever people think of a tier list, they would often think about competitive games. However, being the PvE game that it is, Fire Emblem Warriors tier lists, or at least the way that I'm going to be ranking them, is going to be solely on the basis of how much payoff you'll be getting for all the time, money, and materials that you'll be investing in these characters. So I've been getting a lot of messages from some people that are quite new to this game and to Warriors in general, and they often ask me that there's this character that they have an interest in, but they're not entirely sure if they're worth the investment, and that's what these rankings will be. It'll be ranking people based on the payoff of that investment, and some of them, they give the payoff much higher and much quicker in comparison to others, and that's going to be the basis of this list right now. What I mean by payoff is going to be characters that excel at finishing maps really quickly, otherwise just making the game a lot smoother and a lot more enjoyable for all of their efforts. There's plenty of ways to frame a tier list, and I thought we'd go for a more general, more subjective way of going about the tier lists, I find. And before we begin the actual list itself, I just want to disclose that everything that you're watching, all this information that I'm trying to convey to you guys, is the result of about 95 plus hours that I've spent playing this game since launch, and probably double that for all the time I've spent playing Hyrule Warriors. So yeah, please take everything that I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Also, everything I'm about to say is 100% my opinion. It's just how I've personally found things to happen and go down in this game. And just sort of as a rule of thumb, in terms of taking things with a grain of salt, if there's a character that ranked lower than you expected on this list, please don't take my words as discouragement from you guys using the characters that you guys enjoy. Because if you're using a character that you like, and you want to play them often, and that's fun for you, please do that, because really, that's really all we would play the game for, is to have fun. This is for people that are new to the game, and they want to know if a character is worth it. That's what this list is going to be for. As well, we're going to be counting like how characters are in terms of their movesets, and how their movesets complement the stat spreads that they are given. Obviously, some movesets are superior to others, and also you have to take into consideration various factors, but the main focus will be characters that fare well in the mindset of pairing up. So characters that make good vanguards and characters that make good support units. And obviously the best characters on this list will be the people that can do both roles exceedingly well. So let's get this list started. Now, for those of you guys that know, the majority of the roster is going to be sword users, and the best sword user also happens to be in the top tier. The top tier is characters that are absolutely easy mode, characters that you can pick up instantly and just succeed in record timing, get your S ranks, massive high KO counts, all in the span of 5 minutes. Very, very good characters, definitely the ones that you'll want to pick up early on to help you farm resources, which you can use to help fund your other characters, particularly the ones that you really favor personally. So, the best character, there will be 2 characters in the top tier, actually. I consider these the quote-unquote S rank of the tier list, and that's Lyn. Lyn is the best. Out of all the sword users in the entire game, Lyn is the absolute best, and with good reason. She has an amazing moveset. Like, absolutely the best sword moveset in the entire game. A game that is like 95% sword users. What makes her so good is the fact that she has an answer to literally every scenario that you can care to mention. Her combo strings are quite good. Her combo 4 is great for in 1v1 situations, if you can catch the juggle and then follow it up with some aerial strikes. Her combo 5 is quite nice because it's a lot of damage and she keeps moving forward as she does it, so she can maintain her steady flow of fighting enemies and getting around the map rather quickly. But it's about her combo 6. Everyone loves the combo 6. I've been getting many messages of people that think that Lyn is the best character on the basis of this move being totally awesome. Her combo 6 is so cool. She turns invisible and Omni Slashes everyone. Here's the thing about this move. It does so much damage, but also, not only does it gather a lot of enemies, it sucks them into the attack. There's no attack that does this as well and as easily as this. And if we were to look at her stats, she has a respectable 96 strength, which is great considering how fast she attacks. And there's also her high skill level. Now, the thing about the way that stats work is that strength and magic, if you're a magic user, will affect your overall damage. Skill affects the damage of not only your critical strikes, but your warrior specials. And the most important ones are your dual warrior specials, which will be a very big factor in ranking the people in this list. Also, her luck is quite respectable as well at 96, meaning she can take full advantage of Luna's ability to lower enemy defenses. And because she attacks so fast, she can definitely work with that. By the way, before we continue more with the list, I just want to clarify that when we're looking at ranking the characters, we're going to make the assumption that they have all the skills that they need to optimize their damage and to optimize their effectiveness. So we're going to make the assumption that Lyn, for example, has Luna, Astra, Strength plus 10, Skill plus 10, and Trample. Yeah, Trample, and then whatever additional move that you want to also add for her. So yeah, that's a Lyn. Lyn is the best character for a sword user, and there's only one other character in the top tier, and that character is Camilla. Camilla is my absolute favorite by not even a country mile. She is my favorite by a planet mile. The reason why I like Camilla so much is that her stat spread works very well with her unique moveset. For those of you guys that don't know, the main draw to using Camilla is the absolutely ridiculous running strong attack. The running strong attack is that she rides on her dragon and then she just slams the ground down, killing everyone in sight. It is such a useful move for racking up the high KO counts that she has the highest potential for AoE and gathering those KOs faster than every character on the roster, even faster than Lyn. Being the axe user, she also does a good job at complementing sword users by giving the special critical gauge, the yellow gauge, whenever she comes in for the assist against spear users, which is also very helpful. Her stat spread is quite good. 106 strength is very strong. Her skill stat might not be as super high as Lyn at 89, but it's still definitely usable, and you'll be using her special meter a lot because she can gather it faster than any character on the roster. Now, her 56 luck might not seem very impressive, and it isn't, but it just means that you don't need to use Luna on her, and that's fine, because she doesn't hit very frequently like Lyn does either, so she can actually forgo Luna without any issues whatsoever. But yeah, she builds meter faster than anyone, and she's definitely someone that you want to start using as soon as possible if what you want to do is advance your game immediately. So, before we go and leave the top tier and head into the A ranking, let me talk about Tiki for a second. Tiki will be getting a tier of her own because she functions so differently from everyone else. Now, the criteria for this particular tier list are characters that can get started quickly. They play straight out of the box and you can succeed almost immediately. Tiki is special in that it's all about the investment with her. You have to invest in her a lot, but she has the highest payoff of all the characters for that investment. Once you have her fully upgraded, you could theoretically go through whole maps staying completely in Awakening mode, in her Dragon mode. She's a very strong character with like the strongest moveset and strongest damage in the entire game. However, there does need to be that time investment, but definitely worth it, especially if you want to use her for tackling the harder difficulties much earlier on in your progression as a player. So, let's go ahead and head into the A ranking. Now, the A ranking is reserved for characters that handle both roles of Vanguard and support very well. Not necessarily to the ridiculous extent of Camilla and Lyn, but definitely something worth considering. And thankfully, most of these characters are quite popular, so a lot of people that are fans of these characters will be very happy to see that they are quite strong indeed. First one up on our list is Robin. Robin is a fantastic unit for support. Now, to clarify what makes a support so strong is that skill stat. That skill stat affects the damage of your dual specials. And the thing about Robin is that he can build meter very quickly, and as it turns out, he is also the strongest tome user on the roster out of the three of them. That being said, all tome users are quite strong, hint hint. But what makes Robin so good is that high magic damage and that high skill stats. even though he won't be able to take full advantage of Lune, he still worked great as a Vanguard character. With support, he can really crush enemies with his great AoE and high damage spells. But the best way to use Robin, and what makes him one of the greatest support units available, is his solidarity skill. It's inherent to him, and he can definitely share it with other players, but the thing about Robin is that he can use that, and if you need to nuke an enemy, switch to Robin, and then use him to initiate the duel special, because he'll do a ton of magic damage to any enemy that stands in his way. Definitely worth a look, and his Vanguard moveset is actually quite effective as well. Now, let's look at the next character on the list, and it's Lucina. Lucina is one of the 2 characters that have the special Lord moveset. Lord moveset in and of itself is quite good. Combo 3 for exposing the weak points, and then the combo 4, and then combo 5 for breaking it, and also breaking guard, and combo 6 for breaking the guard when you're in awakening mode. It's a very good moveset, and Lucina wears it so well. Now, let's look at her stats. 93, quite good, but it works especially well in conjunction with her luck stat at a whopping 110, one of the higher ones in the entire roster. She can use Luna to great effect, and it really shows when she has a very sizable 104 skill to work with. Her moveset is quite strong, and she has the stats to back it up, and that's why she deserves to be really high on anyone's list. Not to mention, her Falchion, just like with the Soul Catty on Lyn, is a free Draco Slayer effect without any damage penalty, and that's something that you definitely want to take full advantage of, because most of the tougher enemies in this game do tend to be the dragon types. And right after is the character that she shares a moveset with, and that's Chrom. Chrom is just below. It's not that he's worse. In fact, if anything, the differences are quite small, save for the one huge difference, which is their luck stat. With the luck stat, it actually helps affect how effective you'll be as a Vanguard unit. With the luck stat, you can take advantage of Luna and the ability to lower defenses, which Lucina and Chrom can really make use of when they're trying to proc for Luna. The thing is, the difference between luck is actually not negligible whatsoever, being a whopping 25-point difference. That being said, though, he does have higher strength and he does have higher skill, meaning that he can still work very well as both a support and a Vanguard. It's just that Lucina just slightly edges her father out a tiny bit. And following not too far after, and being at the bottom of our A rank on the list, is Lissa. Lissa is a very fascinating character because she has a unique moveset that handles AoE and 1v1 very well, and her stat spread definitely complements that. If you give her the topsy-turvy, her magic stat is 106, matching Camilla, but this time being the magical variant. As well, she has a high luck stat and a decent skill stat. So she's a very fun character overall, and what's great for newer players is that she can help secure objectives by thanks to her ability to heal. So that's the nice thing about Lissa. She's a very unique moveset, and it's one she can fully take advantage of. And you'll see that this is a very recurring thing with a lot of the stronger characters. They have the moveset to justify the stat spreads, and that's what I like to see. Okay, next up is going to be the A- rank. Now, the thing about the A- rank, it's very strange for me to bring it up, because I could have just called it the B rank, but I felt like that would have been misleading. The reason being that the characters that are taking up this tier are the characters that have a very specific niche, one that they fill arguably better than anyone else. But the thing is, though, it's only within that niche that they can be considered very good. They can handle being, let's say, if they specialize in being a support unit, they still can handle being a Vanguard, but it's best to leave them in the role that they were originally designed to be part of. So, to kick things off is Ryoma. Ryoma is a very extreme case of what I mentioned just now. He is fantastic as a support unit, but he can do Vanguard quite well. He might not be able to rack up the high kill KOs because he doesn't have amazing AoE, but his 1v1 damage is among the best in the game, only behind Lyn in terms of sheer damage output. Part of what makes Ryoma so special is the fact that even though his AoE isn't amazing, it's when you do the duel special that you'll really see his AoE come into play, and that's when he uses his duel special to suck in a bunch of enemies, create a Katamari, and slice them to bits with his swords. And thanks to his amazing stat spread, you can tell they knew what they want him to be. 105 strength, 104 skill, and 105 luck. These are all that you want in a physical fighter, really, and it definitely shows. Like, of course, the only downside to this character is his lack of AoE, but honestly, that's what pairing up is for, patching up the shortcomings of one character, and that's why Ryoma is an amazing pick for a lot of people. Elise is a special character in that her stats and her moveset complement each other in ways that we never really expected them to. So, the thing about Elise is that she shares a moveset with a certain other character, and unlike with Robin, instead of being a long-range AoE attack, instead it's a short-range burst. So, the thing about Elise is that she can build up meter really, really quickly with her moveset, particularly with her combo 6 and her combo 3. And her skill set is very attuned towards being a vanguard unit. Oh, sorry, her stat spread. So let's have a look. It's her magic at 118, which is the second highest, only after Robin, and 112 luck, meaning she can take full advantage of Luna. Her skill stat tends to leave something to be desired, but that's fine because if she just specializes in being a vanguard, and that's what makes her really stand out among the roster, and that's why she's actually one of the more viable picks if you're looking for good magic damage. And just like with Lissa, she can also heal people. So if you're newer to the game and you're trying to manage your objectives, manage your forts, then she's definitely someone that you might want to look into. And speaking of sharing movesets, the next up on our list is Leo. Leo is a slightly more rounded out version of the tome users, in that he doesn't necessarily have amazing stats in comparison to Elise or Robin in the magic department, but it's just enough to justify his use, and he has a skill stat to sort of justify his use as a support unit. So he's a very middle of the road tome user, and he uses that to great effect because, as I mentioned earlier with Elise, he can build meter very quickly with his moves. The moveset of the Dark Knights, the Riding Mages, they're very good, and it's something that I really like to see, in that the moveset itself is quite useful, and the stats help complement that. And that's why, if anyone wants to use Leo, that's definitely something you want to look into. The next one on our A- list is Takumi. Now, the funny thing about Takumi, and really all the archer units, there's a total of 3 in the game. With Takumi, he is much more geared towards being a support because of that amazing skill stat that he has. 150 means that you're going to delete most enemies with a warrior gauge special. He also does pretty well as a vanguard unit, but here's the thing. I find, at least in my opinion, that archer units tend to be more geared towards being support units, people that would only pop in to do the dual warrior special and then they would switch out, because they can build meter really quickly, especially with a combo 4. But as a vanguard unit, it's really hard to recommend that when you can consider that there are plenty of vanguard units out there that just handle the job that much better and that much faster. Obviously, it does come down to being a tasting, and full disclosure, everything on this tier list also does come down to taste. Like, if you don't like the moveset of the characters that are considered quote-unquote strong, then you don't have to force yourself to, that's fine. But yes, Takumi is definitely the best archer unit out of the 3. That being said, the other 2 archer units are no slouch, but because of his gimmick and his ability to trigger the critical hits, it's more useful for arenas, in my opinion. Like, it seems counterintuitive to kind of stop and aim and charge for 5 seconds in a game that's all about running around and beating dudes up. But yeah, he's definitely a good choice if you want to have really, really high damage in a support unit. Next up is actually going to be a tie, and this is the bottom of the A- list, and that's Rowan and Lianna. Rowan and Lianna are very interesting in that they're very user-friendly characters, as you can tell by the fact that they were the first characters that you'll ever end up using in your time playing Warriors. The movesets are they're fine. They're very solid movesets, and the stats that they both have as well. Lianna is more geared towards being a magic user, meaning you have to give her the topsy-turvy to give her good damage, and Rowan tends to be more on the physical side of things. They're very good all-around characters. There's no glaring flaws about them, and they are required units to have. Well, not required, but like they are one of the only units that you're allowed to have during the level 80 animations on history mode, so please keep that in mind as well. They're very solid. You don't have to worry too much about leveling them up anyway. They kind of tend to level up naturally, And full disclosure, every character that I have is level 99, and Rowan was actually the last person I leveled up. So don't feel the pressure to level them up if you don't want to stick with them for that long. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to go into the B rank. B rank people are people that have, like, they're entirely usable. Alright, they're entirely usable. There's nothing really inherently bad about them. It's just that they have a niche that is already best served by the characters that we've mentioned already in this list that far. And that does mean that we're going to be going into a bit of a controversial territory. I understand that, well, at least with the circles of Fire Emblem fanbase that I know of, they tend to be a little bit touchy about me critiquing characters that they know and love, and I apologize in advance if I hurt anyone's feelings. But the way that I see it, the characters that we'll be looking at, they don't have a niche that's all to their own. If anything, they just feel like the alternative. Again, full disclosure, if you like these characters, please feel free, don't feel intimidated that you're going to be selling yourself short if you do like to use these characters. It's more important to have fun playing the game than to have the strong characters, believe me, I know. That being said though, I'm pretty sure we've also mentioned a lot of characters that are very popular and have already been mentioned as being the quote-unquote top drawer characters. So, kick things off is Prince Marth, the Hero King himself. Marth is at a very interesting position, and I'm going to tell you why, but first, we're going to look at the stat spread. Very good stats. 92 strength is quite nice. 113 luck means he can take serious advantage of Luna. And the high skill stat, high skill stat, sorry. I really have to stop making that mistake. High skill stat is very good at having your dual warrior specials, and he does it so well too with his animation being able to catch a lot of enemies. The problem with Marth isn't his stats. His stats are solid. More than solid, really. It's just that the thrusting sword moveset leaves a lot to be desired. It's not particularly bad, but in a game that's mostly sword users, it doesn't stand out either. The way that it works is that his combos are okay. They handle AoE decently. They handle 1v1 decently, particularly with Marth's stat spread. He can do fine with it. But the issue is the fact that most of his most useful moves would be easily interrupted by the enemy. Like his combo 6, where he goes around and slashes everyone, omni-slashing everyone, it's very prone to interruption. So if you're in a map where there's a bunch of enemy captains and you want to AoE them all, you might not be able to do that because the enemy captain interrupted you as you were zooming around everywhere. It's very strange that that was something that would still be there in the game, but that's just how it is. Not to mention, it doesn't, unlike with Lyn, it doesn't suck people in and bring people even more. Like, once you bring all those people and you KO them all, that's all you're gonna get for that animation, and take quite a bit of time. That being said, though, Marth can theoretically work as a strong support unit if that's what you want to have in your fight. As well, the Exalted Falchion has the innate Draco Slayer, so you can also take full advantage of that if you need to. Next up on our list is Frederick. Frederick, he is the third of the third and final of the Axe users, and he's actually quite decent. Again, just like with all the B-ranked characters, chances are you would use these characters because you have the taste for them, that you're a big hardcore Frederick fan, and I know you guys exist. You guys totally exist. I know you're out there watching this video right now. And that's what Frederick is, though, is that there's nothing particularly bad with him, really. It's just the fact that out of the 3 Axe users that are available in the game, the other ones really do stand head and shoulders over him with higher damage, better movesets. His moveset is alright as well, but again, the alternatives just unfortunately outclass him. It's more of a process of elimination more than anything else. Still, if you're a big fan of Frederick, please use him. Pretty sure he'd appreciate it. Next up on our list on the B rank is Sakura. Sakura is a very interesting example of what I mean by your skill or stat spread complementing your playstyle. And that's how it is. Like, Sakura actually takes full advantage of the moveset, but the issue with the moveset itself is that it doesn't necessarily complement the playstyle of the ideal Vanguard character. That being said, she definitely has the tools needed to be a decent Vanguard unit. That being, she has the highest attack stat of all of the archers in the game. If you give her the topsy-turvy, she will have a whopping 160 magic power for her bow. Her skill stat seems a little bit low, but that's fine, it's still definitely workable, and her luck stat is quite high as well, so she can use Luna. That's kind of the thing, though, is that, like I said earlier, I mentioned that the archer class tends to be more geared towards being a support unit, and why would you use them as a vanguard unless that's just really what you wanted to do? So, you guys may, but there are the alternatives that already exist. And speaking of movesets that are less geared, Cordelia is next on our list. Cordelia is, in my opinion, the strongest of the Falcon Knights. She does have the nice thing going where she can choose either between physical or magical damage at 73 magical and strength, but her main draw is the 110 skill. The way that I see it, the Pegasus Knights are very much attuned towards being support units because they are spear users in a game that is just riddled with sword users, meaning that if you were to summon them for a dual strike, then they can easily give you the yellow critical gauge. And that's why I would like her the most to be a support unit, is because she could take full advantage of that skill stat and then pretty much just support you the entire way around, especially if you need a wings unit to fly you. And I feel like that was kind of just the core design of the Falcon Knights, because the issue with them is the fact that there's nothing wrong with the moveset that they have. It's just that there were stronger alternatives, and it's a shame because these are the only spear users that are currently available. It's unfortunate that Oboro, the only other spear user that's in this game, is going to be DLC. So unfortunately we'll have to wait until that. So in the meantime, though, I would say Cordelia is the best because it's a class meant to play more of a supporting role, and her stat spread complements that better. Speaking of Falcon Knights, Caeda is next up on the list, and she is meant to be geared more as a vanguard unit due to her high luck stat. It's a very high luck stat, and just like I said earlier, like the play style, again, it's all a matter of taste at this point. If you want to play as a Falcon Knight and constantly be doing damage, and you want to get the most damage, then Caeda is your go-to gal. So, we're finally at the bottom. This is the B-, and again, just to clarify, if you like characters and they haven't been mentioned yet, I actually kind of want to apologize in advance because we're gonna be a little bit critical this time around. So yeah, click away. Next up on our list is Hinoka, the third and final Falcon Pegasus Knight. The thing about her is that her stat spread is meant to be like solely on like being the middle of the road, but unfortunately that's not something that you want to be when your moveset is that of the Pegasus Knight. So yes, there's nothing really bad about her, but unfortunately if you want to get good damage out of any of your Falcon units, Cordelia and Caeda would be the ones that you want to look for. That being said, if you like the character, then by all means. Next up on the list, Celica. So Marth, I already said that he was a better unit because he has the amazing stat spread, and to make up for the fact that his moveset is just okay, and in my opinion probably one of the lesser versions of the sword users. Celica doesn't have that advantage, and it sucks because when you actually look at the stats and look at them side by side, you'll actually see that Celica, all of her stats, all of them, are lower than Marth's. Like, the stat spread is just so strange and awkward that it couldn't take advantage of anything. It couldn't capitalize on anything, which is unfortunate. But you know, if you want to use Celica, you totally could. But she's just, for all intents and purposes, a weaker Marth, and that's unfortunate because she seems like a really interesting character that could do more. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Next up, speaking of characters that you would like, and please feel free to use them, is Anna. Anna is one of my favorite characters to use in this game. I like her so much because she has a fun moveset. Well, not moveset, but she has fun move animations for her specials. And she's just a very endearing character overall. It's like, I just kind of use her despite the fact that, objectively speaking, she is the worst out of the archers. That being said, the archers aren't that bad. Like, she has the high luck stat going for her, which is cool. But as I said earlier, it's not like you really want to look for taking advantage of Luna and playing as a Vanguard as the archer for extended amounts of time. But yeah, that's just my own opinion about it. But yeah, Anna's there, and if you're like me and you like Anna, then yeah, totally use her. Why not? She's awesome in every single game of Fire Emblem. And yeah, that's Anna. So we're gonna reach the penultimate character of the bottom of the tier lists, and it's Xander. I felt that Xander has enormous potential to be a much better character, which is unfortunate because the thing about warrior games is that they don't really go around handing out buffs. But if hypothetically they would buff him, they would buff the running strong attack, and they would overall just buff his ability to give AoE. He's so strangely sluggish of a character in his moveset that he actually feels much more cumbersome than Frederick, which is supposed to be a character that's supposed to be very tanky, but yeah, they kind of just got that switched around. It's unfortunate because there's a lot that could potentially have gone well for him, but then none of those abilities were explored. He's not the strongest of the bunch by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, his luck stat is quite solid. There's nothing wrong with his stats, it's just that his moveset can't let him take advantage of that, and that's going to be the recurring problem for all of these. So we're going to head into the ending of this tier list, and I feel bad as I'm about to say it, because I know that this is a very popular character. At least people that I know really, really like this character, and it's unfortunate that she's on the bottom, and it's Corrin. The thing about Corrin is she has very okay stats. I mean, she has a luck stat going for her, but she's one of those unique cases where even giving her Astra won't let her be able to proc Luna frequently compared to all the other sword users. It's so strange reading her description saying that she uses tricky footwork and crushing power when her moveset has anything but that. Her moveset is quite slow and has long animations, and her damage is just so-so most of the time. And the thing about her gimmick, her strong attack where she charges up and turns into a dragon, it sounds super cool on paper, but it takes 5 seconds to charge it up, and like it has an AoE that doesn't even reach past most forts. It's such an underwhelming move that's so desperately in need of a buff. It's really upsetting when you think that, yeah, like in all that time you spend charging up, you could have literally just spammed regular attacks and gotten more work done in that time span than using the Dragon Horn. It's really unfortunate because I know this is a very popular character, and like half of the entire cast is from her game. So it's like, if this was supposed to be a marketing thing, they totally missed the ball on that one. It's really unfortunate because I know she's a very popular character, and it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes with tier lists though. In a tier list, there's going to be winners, but in order to have winners, there needs to be losers too, and quite sadly, that loser was Corrin. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this tier list. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing just to what extent I was on the mark for this particular one, because remember, everything that you saw right now was just based on my own intuition and experience playing this game, and I hope that you guys will react to it and see, like, maybe where I was right, maybe where I missed the mark. I'd be very, very genuinely, pleasantly surprised if someone were to prove me wrong about Corrin and that she's actually amazing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to also trying to fitting in the DLC characters that are also going to be coming in this game, and I hope to see you guys next time when that happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions that I failed to answer regarding the worthwhileness of these characters, please feel free to sound off in the comments, and I'll be sure to review. And please let me know what you guys thought of the tier list. So I'll see you guys later.